What's up, guys? This is Griever here, bringing you guys the latest behind-the-bar reviews for 7 Deadly Sins, chapter 315, entitled The Final War. And I even took a shower. If you guys can no doubt tell, I even took a shower. My hair's still wet and everything. Because I got really heated during a debate in the Discord all day. We were talking about the Raws because the Raws were dropped all since yesterday, right? So I spoiled myself. Sometimes I don't, sometimes I do. This time I chose to spoil myself and stuff, right? So I was just waiting for Taizai. I was getting hyped. And so I did spoil myself. And I was looking all through it. And then we got the translation and stuff. So I was talking in the Discord early in the morning, on my breaks at work. And then I was talking about it just before I decided to do this review and stuff. And I said, I'm getting too heated and stuff because there are two moments in this chapter, two moments that I consider to be double-edged swords. They are great moments, but they are a double-edged sword in the way they happen, and you either love it, hate it, or you're in that gray area of not sure. Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Do you understand both sides? You just kind of go, it didn't mean that much to me sort of idea. But the problem is that they are there. There are two moments, and we're going to talk about them when we get there. But so let's just start off. Because I think I've calmed down. I had a nice shower and stuff. I think I'm good now. I think I'm good because we got a little heated in the Discord about this and stuff earlier. So here's the thing. Beginning of the chapter starts right off at the end of the last chapter. And this fight, I just want to say right now, this is reminding me of some, middle of the way Dragon Ball Z Android Cell Saga fighting. It's reminding me of early Taizai. It's reminding me of Bleach the Soul Society arc. With the speed, with the flash types, with everything being very... Do you guys remember the Battle of Six? Because I remember the Battle of Six. It was meant to be epic. And it was, at points, really epic. But it was busy. And there was a lot of stuff going on. And sometimes it was a little hard to follow exactly from panel to panel what was exactly going on. And sometimes... I remember at times on the Boar's Hat podcast during that, I was misinterpreting who attacked who and what hit what, because you read it 2 or 3 times and then you're like, unless you're really paying close attention to the order of the panels, things kind of get out of whack. This is more back to old school Taizai. Guild Thunder Meliodas reminder, Gohan versus Cell reminder, as I said, all the Soul Society arc fights, which once again, Bleach, really up here for me when it comes to certain aspects, and fights were one of them. So I'm really enjoying this fight, is what I'm trying to say. This fight is just, it's clear, it's consistent, and you feel each blow. Each panel is not wasted. Each panel is clear and concise, and I'm really enjoying it. The artwork, like the backgrounds and everything, Nakaba is not stinting at all. Like sometimes his artwork is a little sometimes it's a little and right now it's in the O category. It's like, yeah, this is pretty good. So anyways, Meliodas just boom, still taking on. We're right at the end of the tail end of the last chapter. He punches Demon King in the face. Demon King zoop, does a cell, jumps up into the air and basically monologues again. Does the Sosuke and Cell, all those characters, right? He monologues to him about him being a failure and what do you think you're doing? This world doesn't need 2 Demon Kings. What are you talking about? Blah, blah, blah. It doesn't need 1. Doing the same shit he's been doing, right? Spouting the same crap. So, Meliodas simply says, you don't understand. I'm going to disappear from this world. And I am going to save my younger brother, Zeldris. And then Demon King, in this weird... It almost felt like... Did you not know this was coming? I found it not childish. I just found it odd that he would ask it in this way. I found it very odd that he would ask this question. And so he just says, huh? Well then what about me? Like, Mr. I'm going to destroy you. I'm going to destroy Britannia. I'm going to destroy everything. Nobody can stop me. Is saying, like that is not a question a main villain asks a protagonist trying to fight him. Because it's not up to Meliodas what happens to the Demon King. The Demon King is confident. So I found this really out of place. It might just be a translation thing, but he goes, Huh? Well, what about me? As though Meliodas is the decision maker. There is not a single villain, and especially the Demon King, from what we've seen of him and every speech and every line of dialogue, he is very Frieza, Cell, Makoto Shishio, all those characters that are like just evil to the core and always believe they are the strongest. No one can touch them. They are the best. For him to ask that felt very off to me, and I noticed it right away. In my first read, I read it a couple times since, and I'm just, So, just wanted to point that out. Did you guys find that weird, or maybe did I bring it up and now you find it weird? Let me know in the comment section down below. So, then we see that he's like, how dare you say something like that to me? And he, biffs an attack sort of idea, but really he's blitzing down through the lake. He grabs Elizabeth and basically goes, "Don't move, Meliodas." Not that you can. And you see he's grabbed Elizabeth, and Elizabeth's just looking off to the side. He's like, you thought you would bring her here. You're worried about the curse, and you're worried about this, and you're worried about that, but you brought a human shield for me. You brought baggage, and that's not, an unnecessary burden to yourself in this fight. Ha ha ha. You're going to stay there put until I've gathered all my power back. And like Keishan Prime has been saying in his own reviews and on the Borsat podcast, go check out Keishan Prime's channel. He was saying he really wants to see like Demon King doing like this thing and absorbing the lake sort of into him, or the essence of this magical lake of high density magical properties. And that would be pretty cool. The tendrils of darkness sort of idea. He's been saying that for the last couple chapters, and I agree that would be a kind of cool shot, because we're not really seeing him absorbing any of this supposed power yet. And then this is where the first double-edged sword comes into play, because this is an awesome moment. She turns around and starts laughing at him, and he goes, like, "What's so funny?" sort of idea. He's like, "You think I'm being a burden to Meliodas? I didn't come here to be baggage for him. I came here to kill you." Sort of idea, Demon King. And then she just stands there, arc, and it blows him back, similar to Assault Mode Meliodas. Blows him back for a second, but he's in the arc, but it's not doing that much damage, right? He's sitting there like, okay, you got me to, get 2 feet away from you and stuff, and you're holding me for a second, but do you think this pitiful magic's gonna do anything to me? She's like, doing some crazy ninjutsu crap from Naruto or something like that, and it's translated as manipulate and then fury, and she blasts him with all these little miniature arc stars sort of idea, and it's just and it's cutting him up, he's bleeding profusely after all this, he's cut all the shit, he's shredded him, and it's translated as a lot of things: honor, chastity, something about fidelity, hope. There's a lot of different, and I don't know which one, manipulate or fury, they were referring to. But the translation they went with was, she says manipulate, and she makes him fly forward or something and condense a bit. And then she says fury, and that's when she attacks and shreds him, sort of like Byakuya's Senbon Zakura sort of idea, like a bunch of cuts all over him. No major gashes, but he's bleeding and stuff, right? And this is where Meliodas kind of says, you as the Demon King should have known better. She ain't baggage. Do you not remember what she used to be called in the underworld? If you underestimate her, and here's the key thing, this is cool. This isn't the double-edged sword, but like I once did. I'm like, because, I think it was last chapter, the chapter before, someone asked the question. Nakba actually answered a decent question for once, not about Elaine's panties or not panties or whatever, and actually answered something world building, something in the past, in the history of Seven Deadly Sins, and asks, well, what happens here? Is Elizabeth on her level, because she's not one of the 4 archangels? How does she rank? And Nakaba was a little vague and basically said, that level, she's a contender sort of idea. And now we're seeing something even greater, because we knew this, and I've been saying this because I don't care if he was caught off guard. This is the woman who arced Meliodas. I don't care if he was caught off guard or not. Arced Assault Mode Meliodas, not in Assault Mode. I don't give a shit, guys. It's still Meliodas, still standing there, still got more power level than God. Actually, at that point, he was getting close, and he and she still blew him back into the wall and managed to escape before he recovered. That's a fact. That can't be denied. And I'm still going with that. Like I was always on board. I always thought that she was the fourth Archangel until Mal's reveal. But I was under the impression that she was the best candidate for the Archangel number 4. And because she was in love with the demon or stuff, she lost her title, but she still retained her wings and her power sort of idea. But she wasn't allowed to call herself one. That was my theory for the longest time. Now we're seeing, of course, that's not the case. But still, she's on that level. She's actually above them, if any of this is indicated and stuff, right? Because she is attacking him, she's blowing him back, and then he says, like, so Meliodas, as leader of the 10 Commandments, is basically what I'm saying, was actually caught off guard by her in the past in the underworld and hurt, like, clearly. And this is probably how they met. She didn't want to kill him, but she managed to stop the leader, demon king candidate Meliodas, leader of the 10 Commandments, Meliodas, evil as hell, stopped him in his tracks back in the past. That is an impressive feat. That cannot be denied. She is a baller. She is, like, if anybody doubted, like, I was okay with Archangel level, but she's above it. Because none of the 4 Archangels showed me they could do this. Or have done that to Meliodas, right? So, and we also heard about that when Gother was explaining. Like, there was a couple other candidates. There was Ludshel, Rodesiel, there was Elizabeth, there was Meliodas, and there was Eumal. 4 of the strongest candidates. Elizabeth was among that ranking. So there was no doubt she was strong, but this is awesome. I'm really liking, and here's where the double-edged sword comes into play, though. Because Meliodas said, you'll end up in a world of hurt. Don't you remember what her name in the underworld was? Blood-stained Ellie. And she's standing there, and there's some blood flowing, and there's also some, like, sparks of arc flowing and stuff. And it's epic. Now, we jump over after this, but let's just talk about this first double-edged sword, because, okay. Yeah. Whew. Okay. The problem with this is that we saw her in the past. Now, we saw her post fighting against Meliodas. But everything we know of her reincarnations, everything we know of her character up to this point, everything we ever seen and heard about speaks to volumes, and even in the Holy War, past Holy War arc, the mini arc, with King Diane and the bodies and blah, 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 and Stigma and Ro and all that stuff, right? She was shown to honestly not attack demons, but like control their minds and like get them at peace and let them leave. Like, she tried not to hurt anybody. She even saved Derriere and Monspeak from Endora form, something that wasn't supposed to be reversible. She reversed it. Instead of attacking them and killing them and saying there's no hope, she helped them against the wishes of the other archangels. She was the one standing there against the stigma, against the genocide, against all that, and trying to honestly help, and always convincing people that fighting wasn't the answer and just walk away, go back to your families, not beat them into submission and say, now go back to your families. She didn't fight them. So everything we have been led to believe. Now, this doesn't bother me hugely, but it does bother me somewhat. This is not something I totally hate, because the moment is epic. It's still awesome that she's a powerhouse. She's not taking anything. But this whole blood-stained Ellie thing, I think, might prove to be a slight mistake, because we have no foreshadowing and no reference for this. Everything we've learned for 315 chapters about Goddess Elizabeth, about the archangels in general, about her demeanor, about who she is as a person, about Liz and the second Elizabeth and Elizabeth Leonis, and all these versions of Elizabeth, is that she's not like that. So I'm having a hard time coming to grips with this, because the moment is epic. We can all agree. That was awesome. Demon King underestimated. For some stupid reason, as Meliodas points out, you underestimated. You knew her title. That was dumb. But I feel like this title and this whole shift in her character has zero foreshadowing, zero precedent, and you're kind of taking her character and kind of going, oh yeah, you know that you've known her character inside and out for 300 plus chapters, but here we're going to switch a little bit to the dark side of the Force here. Just there's something you didn't know. And I'm like that. Once again, I think it's the fact that there was no precedent for it. There was never any indication. There was no foreshadowing in my mind. And if you guys can prove it to me that this was, fine dandy. But we saw her at points in before the end of the Holy War, and she wasn't doing what that title implies and what her attacks here and what she's doing implies. And the fact that she took down Meliodas. None of that is implied at any point. All we ever see is her smiling and stuff. Even when Meliodas and Elizabeth were going towards the Demon King to have their fight, and he's remembering everything about her since meeting her and stuff, we never see her meeting her, like her standing over him, like arc in hand and him all bloody or anything. There's not even something like that, like a 2-chapter foreshadow. And that to me is a problem. So it's not the fact that she's doing a badass move. It's not the fact that she's this powerful. I still love Elizabeth as a character. And I still think that, yes, 2 versus 1 and someone on equal footing here is great. But I think they could have done it without this whole bloodstain thing. That's just me. That's just me. Is it cool sounding? Yes. Is it got cool potential? Yes. But without the proper foreshadowing and stuff, it feels a little, we're slapping this on, And I hate when they just slap shit on for the sake of it with no precedent. Just me, but let's move on. Now we actually do jump over to Bon and his group of the other Sins ready to fight the Endora. I didn't think we were going to jump over because there was very little precedent in 7 Deadly Sins that he does not like to split the battles and jump. He doesn't really... Nakaba is a person that will show you 2 pages of here's what's going on with the side characters, but here we're back to the main battle we were at the end of the last chapter. He does that, but the whole Estamel thing, never jumped to the Battle of Six. Then during the Battle of Six, never jumped away from that. So those are things he does not take it chapter by chapter. He'll take 15 chapters, we're focused on this. Then the next 15 will focus on that, even if they're all happening at the same time. So that's the way Nakaba does it. So I was surprised that we actually jumped away and went here to the Endora fight. Now, this Endora shows up, and I guess we're going to be fighting the filler, the first filler of Yu-Gi-Oh! The second series. A lot of people don't know that. But the second series, the first anime filler after Duelist Kingdom. We're fighting the 5-headed dragon. 5,000 attack points, 5,000 defense points. A full star monster and a fusion type with 5 different elemental dragon heads. That's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm good with that. But that's the first thing I thought of. And I remember the initial sketches, especially in the Discord, where on Grim Reaper's Discord, there's a lot of guys in there that post a lot of the sub-material and have a lot of images saved of things that, you might have forgotten. And I really like the initial sketch of this thing better than what we show, because here it feels like a bit of a ripoff from that, I guess. I don't know. Is that just me? I'm sure a 5-headed dragon with 5 different heads has been done before, but it really, really felt like that. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's anime. Maybe it's because it's 2 series I've seen and watched, and I'm like, okay, it's the same thing. I don't know. It's just me, guys, but that's what I took away from it. Let me know if you saw the same thing or thought the same thing, or if there's another 5-headed dragon in another series that I don't read that you're like, yeah, why is that here? The design is, of course, completely different. And the design kind of looks cool, but once again, I like the sketch design better. I thought it looked better. And more of a Hydra with similar heads rather than all these different heads. Though it still looks big, it still looks epic. And Deanne's being annoying as always, as you guys probably know by now. Deanne's not one of my favorite characters. I'm annoyed with her character arcs, which are just repeats. And so everyone who's got a problem with Oda and Big Mom with the amnesia thing, well, don't read 7 Deadly Sins, because you'll hate Deanne then. Just saying. And the fact of the matter is, where is she getting the bug thing from? It's like, ew, it's like a bug. I'm like, okay. It's got literal monster/dragon heads. It's got a tail. It's got a mammal's sort of body. And it's got crab/lobster legs. You could argue that they're kind of like scorpion or spider legs, but I got, as someone who lives on the East Coast and the lobster capital of the world, I can tell you right now, those are more so seafaring legs. Not so much, that's not for some landlubber Endora. That's a waterbound Endora, that thing. So, yeah, and then she was pulling like every line of dialogue out of her mouth was like look, I saw Pokemon in the 90s. When Misty did it, it was fine with the Caterpie and stuff. Yeah, it's not fine anymore. Like, don't waste my time with that dialogue. I do not care about her responses about being afraid of bugs when she's literally dating a bug, a fairy, a king of moths. She's dating a bug. Like, I just, nah, she's so cringeworthy. That's my little rant about her. Can't stand Deanne. So we're not going to talk about Deanne and how useful she is in this fight. But what we do get is the fact that this thing, all of a sudden, it spikes up its tail, and King and Gowther are trying to figure out what it's doing. Merlin says, "Oh, it's our killing intent is getting it focused and stuff." And then it all of a sudden, it boom, 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 and then poof. And then out of it, there's all these spores or something. They're like, "What is it? Is it poison? Is it spores? Is it some mist?" They're like, "No, it's too big. It's too big." And they're like, "Oh my God, it's Cell Juniors. I mean, baby Endoras." And I'm sitting there like, okay. I mean, sure, they look like a Pokemon reject, but okay. And honestly, once again, I know I just made the so funny joke about Cell Juniors, but I never want to hear anybody complain about the naming scheme of Cell Junior ever again, because Baby Endora is worse. Really, Baby Endoras? You couldn't have used anything else. Literally. Even Junior sounds better. I don't know, miniature Endoras even, or something like hatchlings, or something like that. Use a term. Don't use baby. Use something like you would in the animal kingdom or stuff. It's a swarm of Endoras, or it's an infestation, or you don't need to actually give them the title baby. That was so cringeworthy. I was just like, ugh. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with this thing, I don't need to fight. You got to focus on all these shits, That's okay. And I'm surprised that King doesn't just pull out Sunflower right here and blast them all. Bumblebee's fine and everything, but what about Increase / Bumblebee, and and we've seen that he can use multiple, or what about just everyone get back Sunflower, just get rid of the whole, we've seen that thing is wide as hell. Why are you trying to slash them all at once when you could literally just hyper beam them? Yeah, so I think King's not utilizing his super awesome godly fairy king powers to their fullest extent yet in this fight. We see Merlin uses Exterminate Ray and stuff, and we know that she's done that before. And then King's going to be caught from behind or something. They're all like, "Oh, we can't let these things spread because they'll probably grow up and stuff like that, and then we'll never be able to clean them all out. There'll be catastrophic amount of damage, blah, blah, blah." And that's true. They got to take care of these things first, of course. And then Bon actually backs up King because King's about to be attacked. He, kicks and punches one of the heads that tries to claw or eat, I suppose, the Fairy King. And it's boom, and we know that Bon's still a badass, still strong as shit. And here's the end of the chapter, and here's where the second controversial / double-edged sword of the chapter comes into play. Because it's a hype moment. It's a moment we've been waiting for. We have all been waiting for this moment because Bon is one of the top-tier fan favorite characters. He's one of my favorite. Escanor it's hit and miss between him and Escanor, and yes, I still like skinny Escanor as well, but I like the character actually as a whole. But Bon's up there. Sometimes it changes, right? But Bon's either my number 1 or my number 2 for this entire series, and he gets his sacred treasure called Corscus? I have no idea how to pronounce this thing. But anyway, he gets it. It's, of course, the awesome-ass chain thing, the nunchuck, the 4... it's that, I forget what they call it. It's the staff that separates into 4 pieces sort of idea. It's not nunchucks, but it's like a staff version of nunchucks. Anyways, so that thing, Looks cool. Got like the drill ends on the tips and stuff like that. It's got all the cool like design on the actual staff pieces. Looks awesome. But who had it? And how did he get it back? I'm going to let you guess, ladies and gentlemen. You done guessing? Because if any of you guess anything other than Merlin, something that has been called for almost 100 chapters by me personally and by other people is that when is Bond going to get his sacred treasure? Everyone on forums, on YouTube videos, on Discords, on Reddits, you take your pick, on Twitters, don't let Merlin have it. That has been like a concrete thing. So Nakaba did not listen to his fan base, or he didn't read any of it. He never looked up a single article about where is Bond's sacred treasure, who has it, when will he get it back. He never looked up any of that. Because this is what makes this is what twists it as a double-edged sword. Because as I said, we all want Bond to have sacred treasure. Not a single fan of Taizai does not want Bond to have his sacred treasure, finally. So, it's a hype Bond moment. Bond gets his sacred treasure. Period. Nothing wrong with that statement. Love it. Great way to end the chapter. The problem comes into play. The problem comes into play because it's Merlin. It's plot convenient, Game Shark cheat code device Merlin. That's causing it. And when did she get it? When did she have it? Now, I have a serious problem with this because we talked about this in Discord. The whole reason, as I said at the beginning of the video, I needed to take a shower was because we had some arguments for and against and stuff, and just like one of the big arguments was just enjoy the chapter and forget Merlin. I'm like, I can't, because I review this series. I have to as you guys know, I rarely give a number rating on my reviews, but I rate this series. I talk about what was good and what was bad and what made sense, what did I like but doesn't make sense, etc. This does not make sense because there is no feasible reason for let's say it was 2 days. I don't know how long it was. If anybody actually concretely knows and could show me manga panels, great. But when the Demon King was defeated in the last 2 chapters, and then there was that build-up, and then they were going to leave, and he came back. How many days was that? A day, 2, 3? Let's just, for the sake of argument, let's call it a couple of days. Give or take, right? There is no more enemies. Sinner's destroyed. Demon King's gone. They're going to leave. There is no reason for Merlin to go now seek out Bond's sacred treasure. So, either she sought it out for no good reason with zero logic whatsoever behind it, or she had it during the fight where Bond fought the actual Demon King, and she didn't think to go, here you go, Bond, that might be useful against the literal god. No, I think Bond can handle it with his fists. That is my issue. I'm not going to complain about all the, forget if she had it, way back, when she got Lost Vein, because that's going to open a whole door of bullshit. But even if she only got it right before the Battle of the Six, and Bond was gone in Purgatory, fine. There was one key opportunity she messed up, and that is plot. That's fucked. There's no other word for it. I try to avoid using heavy swear words on here, guys, because once again, monetization and stuff, I don't monetize. But, sometimes they strike your videos and stuff for things like that. But there's no other word for it. That's fucked. And I have no recourse for this. This is feeling like, what chapter was that? 286, 287? What was the one with the Pokemon type resistances and super effectiveness and all the stacking skills on top of each other crap that she pulled? Because this almost feels worse. Because the only way, no, there's not a way. I've been trying to rack my brain. I tried to rack my brain an hour before doing this review. I can't think of a logical reason why she would have had this, not during the fight against the Demon King, why she would have gotten it after that fight, and why she wouldn't have given it to him during the fight against the Demon King. There is no logical reason. They are all fighting for the destruction of the world. This is planet busting. This is, we do it or we die. There's no reason to hold back. So, yeah, I wasn't going to make this a Merlin hate video. I wasn't going to just rant about it for 15 minutes. So, and this review is going to be probably about 20, 25 minutes anyways, because I had a lot to talk about. And let's just be clear. Once again, the two things that happened here were Elizabeth bitch slapped the Demon King, and Bond got his sacred treasure back. That's what you have to kind of take away from this chapter. But when you actually read it, you start to have that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not hating on the chapter. The chapter overall was very good on a surface level. But once you actually read into it, that's when you get this gray area. You get these double-edged swords that plot-wise and convenience and character-wise and stuff like that, that's when things start to fall apart, break apart, whatever terminology you want to use. So I still really liked the chapter. I was still hyped for the panels, the chapter, the two fights going on. I'm so glad he cut away and is letting us see both fights sort of, what's that word, concurrent or whatever, together. That is really cool. I'm liking what he's doing, but yeah, I got a small problem with the whole Bloody Ellie thing, and I got a big problem with Merlin. Huge problem. And the sad thing is, I like Merlin as a character. I don't like how she is used to be a plot device since she was introduced. She is used for deus ex plot convenience in almost every single way possible. And it sucks because I like her character. Like, I don't like Deanne, but I like her. But she is one of the things that people hate about Taizai the most. And it's not even her character that's at fault. It's the way Nakaba uses her. And that's unfortunate. Anyways, guys, this review's gone on long enough. What did you guys think of the chapter 315? What did you think of the review? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, it's always very much appreciated. This has been Griever with your Behind the Bar reviews for Chapter 315 of 7 Deadly Sins. As always, guys, drink responsibly, and as clearly my glass says, I drink and I know things, Game of Thrones reference, and we will see you back here next time, ladies and gentlemen. Till then, see ya.